In this episode, we will be looking at the Ten Commandments. As I said in the previous episode, the Ten Commandments are God's direct revelation to Moses and to us about what he intends us to be and to do in our relationship with him. So he lets us know this in the Ten Commandments or the 10 words. The first commandment is, I would say, the commandment that includes all the other 9 commandments. In the first commandment, God makes it very clear who he is in relationship with us when he tells us, I am God, and you shall worship only me and no other gods. God is making it very clear that his sovereignty, he is the unconditioned good, and therefore his sovereignty belongs only to him. We can only have a meaningful relationship with God when we respect totally his sovereignty. And because he's the unconditioned good, we cannot have any other thing or any other person to replace him, more importantly, to displace him, whom we then pay allegiance to. Because if we did that, we would destroy our understanding and our experience of ourselves as God's image and likeness. So he makes that very clear in the first commandment. Based on the first commandment, then God goes on to offer the second commandment. And the second commandment is, you will not take my name in vain. We see in the Old Testament when Moses asked God, when I go to Egypt and they ask me, who sent you? What shall I say? And God basically told Moses his name, gave Moses his name, I am who am. We know from the New Testament, uh, where we understand the Old Testament in the light of the New, we know then that this name that God gave to Moses to announce to his people was the name of the Blessed Trinity. Because in the New Testament, Jesus clearly asks us to address his Father as our Father. So Jesus starts to make more clear to us through his revelation the different names for God. And so God reveals Jesus' name to us through the angel Gabriel, who tells Mary and then later on tells Joseph what the second person's name will be, namely Jesus, God saves. So coming back to the second commandment, when God established a covenant relationship with Abram in chapter 17 of Genesis, he changed his name from Abram to Abraham, and he was circumcised, thereby establishing a covenant with Abraham. In changing his name, God was saying, you belong to me. And so now the name basically is expressing this very intimate, special connection between God and Abraham. In the same way, then, when God says, you will not take my name in vain, God is saying, by all means, address me when it has to do with this very intimate, dependent relationship that you have with me, and I will always be your God. I will always be faithful to my promises. When you take my name in vain, basically you are disrespecting me, forgetting who I truly am, and in disrespecting me, through swearing, through taking false oaths, to conjuring things up in my name falsely, you are basically disrespecting as well your own image and likeness, because you are saying, I am not truly who I am. I am not who I truly am. So you will not take the name of the Lord in vain. And in baptism, every one of us was given a name. That name was given to us in baptism by God Himself through the church. And in this way, God is also telling us through our name that we are very special. We are holy, a holy people. We belong to God. And in baptism, we were made sons and daughters of God. And so we are claiming this very special relationship with God as He has established it with us. Then we come to the third commandment: keep holy the Sabbath. We have two instances where God kept holy the Sabbath. On the seventh day of creation, God rested, we are told. And God, who is perfect, did not need to rest in the way we understand rest as human beings. So clearly, God, who was perfect, was resting in the beauty of His creation. He was rejoicing in having created us. He was rejoicing in His decision to have created us in His image and likeness. And so for God, this was contemplation. This was a profound act of love, of praise, of honor, of glory. Truly gazing at us with great tenderness and love. And so Jesus then in Matthew chapter 11, seeing our human condition and how bowed down and weighed down we are with sin and the burdens of life, He invites us to come to Him who labor and are burdened, and He will give us rest. Once again, Jesus is saying, I will give you rest by forgiving you, and through my mercy, you will be restored to your original creation as my image and likeness. And through my grace, through my help, you will be transformed into my image and likeness. And so that's why the church asks us, following God's command, to keep Sunday, the day of the Lord, the day of the resurrection, holy. And on this day, then, we are giving God praise and thanksgiving for the gift of our lives as His sons and daughters who have celebrated and can celebrate Eucharist, eat and drink His very own body and blood, and become His dwelling place, His sanctuary, so that in every activity throughout the day He is with us. These first three commandments, the focus is completely on our relationship with God. God is telling us very clearly, if you are to be in in a right relationship with me, then these are the three commandments you would have to make sure you keep in relationship with me. And then God offers 7 other commandments, and all these 7 other commandments have to do with our image and likeness. And so in the 4th commandment, God says, honor your father and your mother. In the garden, uh, an explicit expression of covenant life with God was that humans, Adam and Eve, would be fruitful and they would multiply. And so, children and Adam and Eve's progeny, our progenies, are seen therefore as a tremendous blessing and as a continuation of God's supreme decision to create us in His image and likeness. Because every time a baby is born, there is this very beautiful and complex cooperation that takes place between the human parents and between God. The human parents provide the fleshly material, and God offers the soul. And so in the delivery room, you have God along with the earthly parents to celebrate the birth of their child. And so it's understandable then that God wants us to prioritize our relationship with our parents because they gave us the gift of life. Yes, many of us have had issues with our parents. God is saying, the gift of life is far greater than all the problems you might have encountered. And through my grace, I will make it possible for you to forgive them, for you to understand that despite their imperfections and their defects, they spent a tremendous amount of time, energy, and commitment to raising you and making you who you are. And for that, you need to be forever grateful. And then God moves into deeper matters, and you can see very clearly he is striking at the root of sin. The fifth commandment, you will not murder, thou shalt not murder. Clearly, in murdering someone, we are then destroying God's image and likeness in them. In doing so, in a very real sense, we are destroying God because He is the Father. He is the origin, the original of this person that someone has murdered. And in doing so, in a way, we are also not only disrespecting, but shall I say, turning topsy turvy our whole understanding of who we truly are. And murder is the offshoot of anger, bitterness, hatred, revenge, unforgiveness. It's the nth degree, but it starts early on. And so God is saying you need to be very careful. And then, thou shalt not commit adultery. Adultery is another form of murder because the spouses in marriage have made a commitment to be in covenant with each other. And this covenant with each other can only be truly wonderful, and real if it is made in union, in relationship, in dependence on God. And so when someone commits adultery, in a way, they are destroying that covenant relationship, not only between themselves, but also that relationship with God. So in that sense, it's a very, very serious sin. And then if you look at the seventh commandment, thou shalt not steal, or the ninth commandment, thou shalt not covet, desire thy neighbor's goods, you can see in both instances, God is saying, you are already beginning to look to other places, to other sources for your well being and your satisfaction, and taking the focus off me. I am your provider. In depending completely on me, you will be provided for all that you need. You need to live your life within all the needs you have that I will provide. It's when you move into wanting more than you need, and then because you don't get it, then you start using all kinds of sinful ways of getting it. That's when you have put yourself on a very slippery slope, and are headed toward damnation and destruction. And then lastly, God offers us the eighth and the 10th commandment. In the eighth commandment, God is saying, thou shalt not bear false witness against your neighbor. And in the 10th, he says, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. In the eighth commandment, you shall not malign others through false oaths. He's making it very clear. In doing so, you are destroying their reputation, their honor, their place in society. And in this way, you cause tremendous harm. And at close quarters, if you look at the 10th commandment, in coveting your neighbor's wife, you are now creating disturbance, turmoil, anxiety, unrest in these very intimate and close relationships that you have with your neighbors who are living next to you, on one side of you, on the other side of you, in the community. So you can see all of these commandments are striking at the very root of sin that has taken us away from God. And God is also making it very clear that there is a tendency in us to sabotage what is good in us, namely our creation as God's image and likeness. And so God is saying, if you honor these 10 commandments in your daily lives, in your thoughts, in your words, and in your actions, you will be immensely blessed. Jesus then brings to perfection and to fulfillment our understanding and appreciation of these 10 words that were given directly to Moses by God on Mount Sinai. God bless you.
Making Great Saints is made possible by Our Ladies Healing Center and God's Embrace Ministries. For more information on Our Ladies Healing Center's healing program, visit OurLadiesHealingCenter.com. For ongoing formation and daily discipleship through God's Embrace Ministries, visit godsembrace.org.